everyone. It's Jane Conto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I each pick a film related in some shape or form. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you have two films to go check out. And joining me, it's the first Thursday of the month, which means my wife Jess is joining me for this episode. Jess, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome, Shane.
And we're doing a double dose of Adam Wingard films, The Guest and You're Next, aka the Bill Goldberg biopic. That would have been fun if it was, but it's not. But it's still fun anyway. But let's get started with 2014's The Guest. A soldier introduces himself to the Peterson family, claiming to be a friend of their son who died in action. After the young man is welcomed into their home, a series of accidental deaths seem to be connected to his presence. I feel like they're not like accidental
Yeah,
deaths.
I mean they're homicides.
It just like
They're not
it just so
accidents.
happens that he killed all of them. But this is from writer Simon Barrett and director Adam Wingard, two of the orchestrators of VHS series, along with Radio Silence. But Jess, what are your general thoughts on The Guest?
Thought it was a lot of fun. I was not prepared for how dated it looks. It's very of the time. That aged me. Insert Matt Damon aging at the end of Saving Private Ryan here. GIF.
Yeah, to
But
be fair, this movie is 11 years
I
old at
know
this
I
point.
I wasn't prepared for that. But I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. It goes in a lot of directions you don't necessarily expect. I mean, it goes in directions you expect, but also those you don't. Yeah, it's I don't know if I'd call it a slow burn, medium burn, moderate speed burn.
That's fair. I feel like the big standout elements, one obviously is Dan Stevens, as in the credits, even as quotations, David. Because is Dan Stevens' American accent always the best? No. I do feel like it kind of fits with the artificial,
Yeah,
like he's definitely like putting something on.
because it changes throughout the movie.
But like I really love him in this because one, he has this steely stare at times that are like, oh my god, this man's gonna murder
He's
everybody in the room.
he's calculating.
And also he's so funny in his reactions to certain things. Like he has a couple of really fun, like I'm self-aware in the moment kind of facial reactions during like a shootout at the
Hmm.
home towards the end of the film. And he just has a lot of charisma and just walks into any scene and just
He steals it.
he nails it.
I mean, it doesn't help that he's acting opposite child actors in a lot of ways, but still.
But one of them is Micah Monroe, who I love. She's fantastic.
Yeah, no, they kill it. A shame,
And
they tend to not be the most charismatic.
like the same year It Follows came out, which Micah Monroe was in, and the film Watcher, which is a really intense film about a stalker. I really love that has Micah Monroe in it. I look forward to seeing her in things, and I think she does a really fine job here. And you have some good veteran character actors like Shayla Kelly who plays the mom.
Hmm.
What happens to her, I makes me
I feel
really
for her.
sad because you immediately feel for her and the loss of her son, and you can tell she's just trying to hold things together.
She's a
Leland,
therapist.
I don't know if it's because Leland Orser plays piece of crap in so many other things. Like he's the father, and I'm like, I don't really care
He's so
about him.
disengaged.
Yeah,
They
and
didn't really seem to care about him either, to be honest.
yeah, and you have like Lance Reddick who just pops up as like the military guy.
Yeah,
And like, is it a shock the twist on like who David really is? No.
no.
Do you see this turning into like this super soldier kind of thing and you're just like we're just rolling with this? And I think one of the fun things about the film is it definitely has that pulpy 80s nostalgia slasher kind of
Oh
feel.
yeah, but I mean the soundtrack is banging. It's a great soundtrack.
Which, yes, the score from Steve Moore is very like 80s tones. It feels
Sin.
like it basically like did John Carpenter come in here and make this movie, but no, it like at this point, Adam Wingard was still making relatively low budget films. So like this definitely has like a feel to it that it's aged a bit visually, except I feel like they really nailed that third act with the
Mm-hmm.
whole like Halloween
The final
maze.
set piece is great.
Yeah, with the fog and the maze and everything,
Yeah,
and
the
all the
mirrors.
way up to the final shot of the movie, which I'm still shocked they haven't made a sequel to
Yep.
this, to be
Chef's kiss.
honest.
Mwah.
And I feel like it'd be too awkward to come back like
It's been a while.
it's been 10 years and Anna thought that her and her brother Luke were safe, but then David
Oh my god.
returns and like it just like slow comes into focus. Dan Stevens just like
Middle
staring at the camera.
middle-aged Dan Stevens.
uh I want to believe in my head canon that David turns out to be his character from Abigail, and he became like a operative for the mafia. He's just like, those are action onions. But no, I feel like this has a lot of elements that are really fun. I think there's elements that you kind of just have to go with.
Mm-hmm.
Some like it's like David kind of just feels like, hello, fellow children, and like he straight up sleeps with a high
Yeah,
schooler at
he
one
goes to a
point,
high school party.
and I'm just like, I feel like you
It's
have to be able to get past some of this like weird
it's
stuff
really weird too,
narratively.
because he's just like staring all the time, like, intensely.
That is some intense uh
Coital stare.
coital stare. I'm like, I was gonna
Really,
say
like
I was gonna say intense post-coital stare, but
oh,
like this is like
I mean, he does it during,
yes. And
before,
then
during, and after.
I was trying to think what would you call, I guess it is just coital stare. It's like there's no prefix to it, it's just it's in it.
Yep.
And like this definitely has a campy, like underlying dark comedy humor to it, which if it didn't and it played it straight, I don't know if this would
I
work
wouldn't have
as
picked this.
no, I don't think it would have worked as well. But no, Jess, do you have anything else you wanted to add about the guest?
Oh, I think it's a lot of fun, which is why I picked it.
Well, next up, you're next.
Also, a lot of fun.
The not the biopic of Bill Goldberg. Um, but if you're a pro wrestling fan, you can't think of the title of this movie without thinking about Goldberg screaming at people that you're next. But anyway, this film is also written by Simon Barrett and directed by Adam Wingard, but came out in 2011, a few years before. Um, Actually, I think no. So technically, this was made in 2011. I don't think it came out until 2013. It's one of those kinds of films that like sat on a shelf for a little while. But when the Davison family comes under attack during their wedding anniversary getaway, the gang of mysterious killers soon learn that one of the victims harbors a secret talent for fighting back. That's an understatement because
Yep.
things get a little things go a bit sideways for the killers in this movie.
She's scrappy.
But Jess, what are your general thoughts on your next, which you hadn't seen this one before?
No, I had it. I hadn't even heard of it actually.
Mhm.
It's a lot of fun. Again, similar to the guest, it's pulpy. It's don't take it too seriously.
Yes, there's definitely an undercurrent of dark humor throughout this movie. And this is very much like a pulpy 80s style
Mm.
slasher flick.
This is for if you want to watch rich people die, I guess, instead of random people in the small town in, I don't know, Kansas maybe.
Yes. Yes, this is definitely like you think that it's an Eat the Rich movie, but then you find out what's actually going on, which like do you think the twist was interesting?
Yeah, I mean it was fine, I guess. It was what I thought it would be.
Yeah, it
I
like
wasn't surprised. Didn't I say what did I say about this guy? Look at this baby back bitch or something. So that didn't surprise me.
so there's just
Milk toast, I think is what I called him.
well, so I'm just gonna rip the band-aid off. I think the biggest issue with this movie is that it is made for very little money and the cast is not exactly the strongest.
Yeah, it kind of plays into the campy vibe though, because it's kind of like, you know, student film. Yeah,
It's like some of the acting's not great,
it's not
and
exactly a student film, but
like Sharni Vinson, who plays Erin, the quote unquote last girl,
Mhm.
is apparently like an Australian soap opera star.
Oh, that's
And
funny that she was in this then.
then but like the character of Erin is so badass, and the fact that she has like
Yeah.
this this particular set of skills straight up from like Taken, just straight up murking
Didn't he
everybody.
say from the get-go, it was like, what Shane was she raised in the bush or something? And you were like, watch the movie.
Like she was obviously raised on like a
Like a
survivalist compound.
yeah, it was a compound.
And then
So I
like
was close. I just want to put that on record.
I feel really bad because the one actor who plays Felix, one of the brothers, there's a lot of lines that he's given that are funny lines. Um, but like he's kind of flat
Yeah.
saying them, and like there's just certain moments where I'm like, that would have been funnier or would have been more effective if it had a stronger cast. But like I give credit for like you could tell this is a group of like younger actors or less experienced actors, and Ty West,
Yeah.
who is playing a
Yep.
filmmaker
That
and
was
get
pretty funny.
and also gets the distinct award of being the first one to get murked.
First one. I will say the kills are very creative. I mean, there's some you see coming, but like pretty good.
Especially what she does towards the end. I'm
Yep.
just like, holy crap.
They're pretty good. They accelerate. Again, medium burn.
And like I feel like they choose like how many slasher movies do you see like a home invasion coming with crossbows and stuff like that? I'm just like, that's
I
ridiculous.
do love I feel like they kind of highlight how inconvenient crossbows are because it's hard to load a crossbow. I mean, the pull
Which
on those is so strong. It's not fast.
is so funny because they're friends at Radio Silence, which in the film Ready or Not really sells how awkward a
Oh, yeah.
crossbow is. And that
Especially an antique one.
yes, it's like how do you even use this? And he uses
There's a
pulls up a
reason.
YouTube video on how to use a crossbow.
There's a reason they're called bolts and not arrows.
Yeah. And like there's one
I like weapons.
yes, there's one particular scene in this where they're like really building up like this young woman's running out the front door and you're like she's definitely going to get a crossbow to the head, but like something else happens and it's like
There's
so like I
been tension.
and I appreciate where this film ends with Erin and her boyfriend Crispian, who brought her into this situation in the first
Ugh.
place, because how that plays out is so satisfying, to be honest. And then this almost pulls a Night of the Living Dead
Hmm.
on us at the very end, but then has one last Chekhov's axe to throw in there. Uh, it's just there's so many wild setups and payoffs in this
Hmm.
movie. Like, I feel like the script is clever and fun.
Hmm.
I think Adam Wingard's direction's a little too dark and grim to look at.
Mm.
Like you could tell this doesn't have like a whole lot of money behind it.
Hmm.
It lacks a little bit of personality, and sure some of the acting's not the strongest, but like for a movie that was this was I think their first feature film that they did after like the VHS movies. Like considering that, I think they did a really fine job with this.
Hmm.
Um
I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a
Actually,
lot of fun.
technically, this was made before like the VHS and the ABCs of Death movies. It does look like they made some smaller films, but like this is definitely like that breakout one that I think is like a lot of fun. Um, and you know, it's lean. It's like 95 minutes,
Yep.
so you're not a whole lot of investment in it.
Not a lot of downtime.
But yeah, I feel like the kills and the setups and some of the humor strong in the script. Maybe like the reveal of everything's not exactly the most clever, but
It's surprising.
it's a fun time.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. I'd watch it again, especially with a group of people.
Yes, I think this would be a lot of fun to watch with a group of people. But at the end of the day, we had a double dose of Barrett and Wingard collaborations, and they're both a fun time. Guest is definitely more fun,
Yeah,
and
maybe a little more polished.
it is a little bit more polished. You could tell this one's a little unpolished for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
fine. I mean,
but
it's not
then,
obtrusive.
Adam Wingard did go on to make that Death Note live action movie for Netflix.
His,
And then his last two movies have
his,
been uh Godzilla Godzilla versus Kong, and then Godzilla X Kong the New Empire.
those are more movies too that I'm like, they're fun. I wouldn't think too deeply about it.
They're
They're
dumb.
fun. Yeah, I like. Look, Shane, I want to see big monster fight, happy.
But if you're gonna spend time on people too, make them interesting.
Make people fight too. Everyone fights. That's what I want in the next movie.
They just have to get Gundam suits, and then they can fight the kaiju too.
No, I want them to fight Godzilla or Kong just without anything, just raw dog.
No, this is why I want Guillermo del Toro to do a kaiju movie,
Oh yeah.
and he brings the Pacific
I
Rim.
was gonna say he did Pacific Rim. That's
Bring
basically just Gundams.
it
It's
is.
all different.
So
It's fine.
we want
we like a big machine.
we want Gundams meet Godzilla versus like in the movies, and we want Guillermo del Toro to make it.
He should do something Zoids. We don't talk about Zoids enough as a people.
It'd be a fun time, but Adam Wingard apparently is done. He's like, I'm not making any more of these. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes back to. But a couple of his early ones are a lot of fun, and I think these both are on Peacock. So if you want to go check them out. But Jess, thank you as always for coming on and chatting movies with me.
Of course.
Jess still needs to tell me what we're gonna do for next month.
Oh
So
yeah.
you'll have to sit in
I bought
suspense.
myself some time.
So, but thank you for listening. Please make sure to like, comment, and share this episode. What are some of your favorite little modern slasher flicks, or who are some of your up and coming horror filmmakers that you enjoy some of their work, like Adam Wingard and stuff like that? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding to the point where I don't know if I could keep up with all these shows at this point, but there's a little bit for everybody with all different kinds of topics, and there's plenty of fun to be had. If you're interested in making a show, you have an idea for a podcast, or if you just want to come on and be a guest on some of ours, like Flicks and Chill or the Wasteland Watch List, or yes, Jess has. And Jess was very popular on Flicks and Chill as well, because my wife is very interesting. So
I have layers.
Jess has layers like an onion.
Like an onion.
But if you're interested, please reach out. And also, if you like our logo, check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.